Hi everyone, this video is to take us through the concept of shortages and surpluses. And while not specifically part of the study design, it's important to understand these concepts to help you answer that fourth and final question that I ask you guys to do with microeconomics questions of does it make sense? Because whenever we're having changes to markets, whether that be movement along the demand and supply curves or shifts of demand and supply, we need to just double check that we haven't made a mistake along the way. And key to understanding that is this concept of shortage and surplus. So I thought I'd do a quick video here to take us through what it all means. I'm going to start with shortage, and both of these have three very similar criteria. All right, so all of them relate to a market situation here where we have market disequilibrium. And what that means is the market is not in equilibrium. So as we know, and I'll just draw it up here, a market that's at equilibrium has, go here, supply and demand meeting in the middle, meeting at a price, sorry, that both suppliers and consumers are willing and able to exchange. But there are times where you see this little point here where we don't have an equilibrium. There's times where there's the level of the price, and in this example for shortage, and we'll do it down here, the price is, let's say, here at that level of supply and demand. That point is not equilibrium. That's just the price at which and the relative quantity that suppliers are willing to supply. And that down here is the quantity that consumers are willing to consume at that price. So we've got here at this price, disequilibrium, okay? Shortage occurs when the price is too low, okay? So, and what I want you to think of with a shortage situation is the word shortage kind of means not enough, doesn't it? Yeah, and so then we look over the third criteria here on what a shortage is when demand is greater than supply. I actually probably should say quantity demanded is greater than supply. And the way I want you to think about this is all the shops around the economy that stock this particular good or a service, the shelves are empty. Yeah, because the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. The shelves are empty and there's customers banging down your door looking for products. Okay, so what does it look like? So I'm just going to draw here to kind of explain what it looks like. I kind of did it on the little slide before. But here we have that looks like an 8, but you get what I mean. It's the price axis. Here we have the quantity axis, and we're just going to draw our normal supply and demand lines. Okay, now normally if this market was at equilibrium, the price would be, if you can follow my cursor, would be at this point along here, wouldn't it? Yeah, if the price was at this level and it would meet there, then that price is where the supply and demand line meet. But with a shortage, we've got market disequilibrium and the price is too low. Okay, so the price is kind of down here. Oh, what do you do when you hit a line? You go down. And at that price, what line did I hit? I hit the supply line. So at that price, that is the quantity that is supplied. Now let's just see if this makes sense. Oh, we'll keep going. Keep going, and then we've hit the demand line, so we go down. And at this price, this is the quantity that is demanded. Now I'm going to ask that question. If the price is really low, does it make sense that suppliers are not willing and able to supply much at a low price? Well, yeah, it kind of does because suppliers are all after profit. And if the price is too low, well, they're not going to supply at that particular price. So therefore, we have a low quantity supplied. Whereas, look at the quantity demanded. You guys are consumers every day. When the price is really low, you're going to demand a lot of that. So therefore, the quantity demanded is really high. So here we have a market disequilibrium situation, okay? Now, this is not great, and the market will always correct itself to this, okay? And there's three ways that the market will correct itself. The normal way that the market corrects itself is, well, they just increase prices. Yeah, so if you are a supplier in this particular market and you're selling out, yeah, at this particular price, well, you want to maximize your profit. You know you've got customers that can absorb a higher price. So what do? You raise your price to this new price, and therefore, bang, we hit our equilibrium. Therefore, all customers who are willing to purchase at that price do, and suppliers are maximizing their profit. Okay, so that's the situation of a shortage where the price is too low, all stock is selling out. Okay, won't worry about that. Now we're going to get to surplus. Okay, so surplus is the other way around. So if a shortage is not enough, a surplus is too much. So here we also have market disequilibrium, yeah, where a market is demand is not equaling supply at that particular price. This occurs when the price is too high, where the price is set above the equilibrium price. And here's quantity, and again, bad Mr. Graham, quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. Okay? Quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. There's too much in the market at that price. So what does that look like? Okay, let's try our trusty charts again. Quantity, price, supply, demand. Okay, now again, if this market was at equilibrium, this is the price that it would be at. Okay, but it's not. This is a surplus. So before I draw it, I want you to have a think about where is the price going to be. Just do a little with your finger on the screen. Draw a line where you think the price will be if this market is in surplus, looking at that criteria on the left-hand side. So pause the video and make a prediction. All right, now when the price is too high, the price is going to be up here. Okay, the price is far too high for P1. So when we draw that out, whoop, we hit a line. What do? We go down. And what line did we hit? We hit we hit the demand line. So that is the quantity demanded. Now we keep going because we have two. Now we've hit the second. And this is the quantity supplied. Now along that quantity axis, that horizontal axis, which number is further to the right? Well, quantity supplied. So therefore, quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, because the further we go along this way, the bigger the quantity. Okay. Now, if you again if you imagine all of the suppliers in this particular market, and they're in this position, and the price is too high or set above the equilibrium price, what does your store look like? Well, you've got shelves that are absolutely full of stock now, and there's no customers in sight. So you as a retailer, what do you think you're going to do? And the technical phrase is to clear the surplus. You're now going to reduce your price to the new equilibrium price. And at this point, we've got, sorry, this is the final quantity traded. And quantity traded is just what we use when we have the quantity where demand equals supply. Here we have the final price where we have cleared the surplus. You're now getting more customers because at this lower price, there's a higher quantity demanded. Yeah, essentially, you've moved your consumers from this point on the demand line down to this point. You had a movement along, and your suppliers have also had a movement along. They've moved from this point down to this point just by changing price. Okay. So I hope that clears up any questions about movement along the supply curve. Incidentally, this can also be caused by a shift in the demand or the supply curve. So for example, if I just go up, if I clear this, quickly, if I clear this, you'll see, there we go, don't worry about the dots. Let's say we've got our demand and our supply lines back in here. Okay, so we've got there and there. And we were at equilibrium. Yeah, let's say we already are at equilibrium here at price one. And then due to, supply and demand, due to some really unfavorable growing conditions, there is a shift to the left of supply. Okay, so the whole curve is moving here. Now, the price is still set at this point here. Yeah, this is the price. So at this particular price, we're hitting the new supply line here and the old demand line here. Demand is greater than supply. We're going to have a shortage. So what do suppliers do? Well, they raise their price here to clear that particular shortage. And this happens all the time, like where there's a drought, for example, and it's really like lamb at the moment, if you ever look in the supermarket, is really expensive. And the reason for that is the drought has made growing conditions really hard for sheep. Now, as a result, there is a shortage in the market. Lots of people are demanding lamb, but there's not enough out there. So what do suppliers do? They increase the price. Okay, they increase the price, and that clears the shortage. So it can work with both movement along and shifts along the curve. Looking at this chart, that's really confusing, but hopefully, maybe after a second watch, it starts to make sense. So any time where the price set is not the equilibrium price, we are either going to have a shortage or a surplus situation. And the most common way that that's cleared is by changing price to the equilibrium price. Hopefully that was helpful, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.